What's up, everybody? My name is Will. Welcome back to Thoughts That Count. Play my music, man. All right. Welcome back to another episode of Thoughts That Count. I'm glad you're here. So today we are going to be talking about goals. We all have them, and somehow they're still the most elusive thing ever. Now, I'm sure that you've heard a ton of ways to, set, create, and achieve your goals. I went through a ton of them when I was doing research for this episode. But don't you worry, I've combined some of the best ones, and I've combined them into one podcast episode to save you time and to get you on your way to achieving your goals. So let's get into it. All right, so this is a 7-step process on how you can achieve your goals. And don't worry, they are simple steps, and they're easy to remember, and I think that they'll be easily applicable into your everyday life. So honestly, whatever type of goal that you want to achieve, this series of steps will be very applicable and will allow you to efficiently and effectively complete that goal, because everybody sets goals, but the process with which we actually achieve those goals can be very, very different. So there's been a lot of times that I've set goals and I just don't stick with them. Let's be honest. I just didn't really care to finish them out, or they got kind of lost or forgotten about through the day-to-day life that, you live. But this technique has been one that I've implemented as, I've progressed through these, past couple months. And I've been extremely happy with the way that, I've been able to stay focused and stay committed to these goals. So I'm going to divulge this series of steps for you today. So step number 1 is to figure out specifically, what do you want? This seems like such a simple step, but it is one that a lot of people just kind of forget about. And if they do have the wherewithal to, know exactly what they want and to go for it, a lot of times they're not specific enough. And that's another important part of this, is to be very specific, when you're setting your goals. Talk about how you want to do it. Talk about what you're going to do. Talk about to what specificity you're going to accomplish it, when you're going to accomplish it. So for example, say I'm going to use weight loss, because that's a common goal for people, weight loss, or even weight gain. It'll go both ways. So if this is your goal, you can't just say, I want to gain weight or I want to lose weight, because, if you lose a pound or gain a pound, guess what? Just accomplish your goal, and it kind of defeats the purpose. How much weight do you want to lose or gain? By what time do you want to have that goal achieved? What body fat percentage do you want to have by a certain time? And if you even want, you can pick somebody's body you can pick somebody's body who you emulate and use them as a kind of goal on where you want to end up. All of these things will help you set better specific goals. So step number 2 in this is establish a date. Now, you can use approximate dates, right? But it is important to have a deadline. Deadlines are extremely effective, which is why you see so many companies obviously using deadlines, schools using deadlines. You've been trained for this. Now, as a rule of thumb, I would say try not to set this goal too far out. Obviously you can have your long-term goals on where you want to be, but for this process here, we're talking about more short-term goals that can get you to the next step in your process. I would say max 6 months to a year, max, because you want to make sure that you have actionable steps that we'll talk about here in this next couple steps that you can, progress through to get to a certain point. So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll use productivity goals. I'll use like the amount of work that I want to complete in a certain amount of time, and I'll set that deadline, and then I'll be able to plan the sections with which I can get to that goal. But if you set it out for too far out, like a year, 2 years, 10 years, it's hard to stay on track consistently with what you need to do on a day-to-day basis. So that's number 2, establish a date. Step number 3, write down what you're willing to give up for this goal, right? Now, I should have said this sooner, but this should all be stuff that you're writing out so that you can visualize it, see it, remember it, see it, hear it, say it, all that good stuff. Because unfortunately, when you want something, and this is in any facet of life, something has to be given up. There's nothing for free. Something has to be given up for you to achieve your goals. It could be your time. It could be a relationship. It could be something that you enjoy, like sweets or playing video games. It could be a little bit of happiness for a little bit. Some Some goals are incredibly difficult to accomplish and, it can be a stressful process. So know what you're willing to give up for this goal. How serious are you about accomplishing this goal? And once you're able to figure out what you're willing to give up, you will find out how serious you are about this goal. So once you've completed those first 3 steps, then you can move on to the 4th step, which is create your plan. Now, your plan will vary based on what your goal is, but essentially what your plan is it's your guide. It's your day-to-day. It's your how am I going to go about achieving what I want to do, right? So you don't have to go down specifically to the hour per se, or even really the specific day. You can do like a kind of general guideline, like from this time to this time I'll do work, and that can be general. But you don't want to spend too much time on your plan, because obviously a lot of people will use the planning phase to stop them from doing. And this is more speaking to the overthinkers, the overplanners out there. I have my moments too, but some people will use that planning phase to be like, well, I can't start yet because I haven't finished planning yet, or whatever. If this takes you more than 10 minutes, it's time to move on, right? So that's the important part with the planning phase, is don't let the planning stop you from doing. But when you are making your plan, ensure that you do have a bit of a roadmap on how you're going to get to the point that you need to get to. So once you have your plan together, then you can form your mission statement. So this mission statement is a couple sentences, and it's basically the summary of those first couple steps. And the best way that I can explain this is just to give you a couple examples. So for this weight loss example, we'll use an example of a mission statement for that would be, I'm going to lose X amount of pounds, we'll say by the end of the year. That's several months, less than 6 months, whatever. In order to accomplish this goal, I intend to give up sweets, I intend to work out 4 times a week, and I intend to replace all the junk food in my house with healthy food, we'll say. That is an example of something that your mission statement would look like. If you're in, we'll say sales, I'll just go off the top of my head. I'm going to make this amount of money, we'll say again by the end of the year. And to accomplish this goal, I intend on studying psychology, doing more cold calls a day, and turning my phone off while I'm at work. Oh, and here's another simple one that just popped in my head. I'm going to reduce my anxiety. This is going to be a combination of topics if you're a long-time listener of the podcast, but I'm going to reduce my anxiety and do more to protect my peace. To do this, I'll give up like caffeine and nicotine, because that's been shown to increase your anxiety or increase the symptoms of anxiety. I'm going to fix or get rid of detrimental relationships. I'm going to set aside time to meditate and read every day. Those are all examples of things that you can do. Those are all examples of mission statements that you can apply to whatever your goal is. That gives you your goal, your time frame, and the specificity of with which you're going to act out that plan. So then the sixth step of this is going to be to read that statement out loud twice a day. Now, we do this because it just reinforces in your brain what your intentions are. It reinforces what you actually want to accomplish. And this is a way not only to remind yourself so you don't forget about your goal, but it's a way to program into your subconscious mind that this is the goal, this is what we want to do, and this is where we're going forward. Now, I do understand that this may seem tedious. Do I really have to say it every single day? But if you tie it to something that you already do at morning and night, then it doesn't seem so bad. Tie it to brushing your teeth, because you do that twice a day, right? While you floss, right? But the reason that we do this at morning and night is because when you wake up in the morning, then you have your goal for the day set, and you know that, okay, this is what I want to accomplish for the day. And you can act on that plan. And the reason that you do it at nighttime is because your brain will work over that plan in your head while you're sleeping, and it'll find connections that maybe you haven't subconsciously found yet. And the best way that I can show you this phenomenon is when you have an idea that you have no idea where it came from, that just kind of pops into your head. That is your subconscious mind giving you an idea on where to go next, on how to do something next, or how to get to the next step in that goal. And this is just frankly beyond your power. You can believe in it or you cannot. But if you continue to introduce to your subconscious mind exactly what you want, then it will find a way and pop those ideas into your head. That's the same reason that I don't encourage negative talk, like, oh, I'm so stupid, oh, I'm so dumb, or oh, I'm just whatever you are, whatever you're saying you are, because that's introducing to your subconscious mind that, this is how we feel about ourselves. This is how we feel. So that's I guess a little bonus tidbit, but be careful what you introduce to your subconscious mind. And if you have a choice, introduce cool stuff that can lead you to a better life or lead you towards success. And I've seen this work in, and I trust me, I've seen this work in my own, in this podcast, for example. Like, I will continue to, feed my brain stuff that I'm like, okay, this is what I want to do. I want to be more productive with my podcast. I want to make the episodes more engaging. I want to have a better time doing it. I want to put more will into the episodes. All of these things are goals that I've set up. And throughout my day, I'll see something and I'll gain inspiration from it. I'll have an idea. It'll just pop into my head and I'll write it down and make sure that, I can expand upon that idea when I get to my workstation or whatever. But another reason that we repeat this every day is, say over the course of a couple of weeks, your plan starts to shift a little bit. You run into some obstacles, you hit some bumps in the road, then you can actually start to make adjustments to that plan, and you can see how your original plan has shifted along the way. And that will lead you to then be more efficient, be some more successful in your goal achieving. Now, the last and final step we have, step number 7, is going to be, what can I do to make this process easier? Now, this kind of ties in with the last step, but goal achieving doesn't necessarily have to be an incredibly difficult process, right? Goal achieving can be simple, and it definitely can be simplified as well. When you have your plan set up, and as you start to get into the actual doing of the plan, think to yourself, how can I make this easier? How can I streamline this? How can I make this faster? How can I make it better? How can I make it more appealing? Whatever. How can I tune my external environment to be more streamlined for what I'm trying to do? And how can I fix my internal environment to make it more streamlined for what I'm trying to do? What kind of supporting crew do I have? What kind of people around me do I keep that help me with this goal? We've talked about the efficiency of, adding a partner to your process for both accountability and discipline. Overall, what can make this process easier? If you want my personal example, this podcast is a great example. It used to take me a long time to complete these podcast episodes because I just didn't know what I was doing. I didn't have my setup down. I didn't have my flow down or whatever. And now I've added the video element, and I'm now making the video elements faster than I used to make just the audio only, which doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. But throughout the process, I just kind of trimmed down the fat per se, and I made it a more streamlined process. And now they come out pretty efficiently, and I have a great time doing them. So did you get all that? Did you get all 7 steps? Okay, let's summarize. Step number 1, figure out what you want, figure out what your goal is, and be very specific. Step number 2, establish a date with which you want to accomplish this. Step number 3, identify what you're going to give up. Step number 4, create your plan. Step number 5, write your mission statement. Step number 6, repeat it twice a day to yourself. Say it out loud. Say it in the mirror. Say it however you got to, but read it to yourself and make sure that you're aligned for the day. And step number 7, how can you make it easier? Refine it, make it better, and be well on your way to accomplishing your goals. But that's going to take us to the weekly takeaway. This week's weekly takeaway is that achieving your goals doesn't have to be difficult. If you believe it will be difficult, it probably will be. But if you believe that there's nothing that you can't accomplish, there's nothing that you can't achieve, and you go through these steps and you simplify and you slim it down and you improve upon it and you become more efficient and you practice, all of these steps that other people aren't willing to take, these are the type of things that will set you apart and will lead you to being the success that you know you can be. But that's going to do it for this episode. I thank you for listening all the way through. I hope you found something that you can add to your life or to the life of somebody around you. Please share this episode so somebody else can see and enjoy as well. We're building here a community. So like, share, subscribe, do all that great stuff. We're making it great. I thank you. I appreciate you. This has been What Thoughts That Count. I'll see you next time. Did you like that episode? You did, didn't you? Okay, good. Well, guess what? Bing! There's another one. And I'm not going to add the sound effect. Bing is the sound effect. Bing! There's another video for you right there. Click it. I know you want to. Love you.